KFC.
So glad you're with us on NFL Live today. And in moments, the qualities we know well about Jalen Hurts that a couple of us here think will lead to success. Keyshawn Johnson, Dan Orlovsky here, Marcus Spears and Adam Schefter also with us today. We have a lot to get to. Let's begin with Shefty. The latest news around the league, starting with Tyreek Hill.
Well, Laura, Tyreek Hill did not practice today. He was home with an illness. The illness is not COVID-related, according to the Chiefs head coach, Andy Reid. But it is the first time that Hill has missed practice this season, and it does raise the question as to whether he'll be available for Sunday's big game against the Miami Dolphins. That's for the Panthers and their running back, Christian McCaffrey. He was limited to practice today, but not because of the shoulder injury that's held him out of recent games, but because he has a quad injury that he's been nursing since last week that tightened up again today. His status for Sunday right now is iffy against the Denver Broncos. The Steelers running back James Conner was activated off the reserve COVID-19 list, meaning that he should be available for Sunday night's game against the Buffalo Bills. Conner, who was declared cancer-free in 2016, has tested positive, but he's now healthy enough to be off the list. And one player who did test positive last night was Dez Bryant. The NFL medical officer, Alan Sills, said today that the league has performed contact tracing, that there were a few people in proximity to Bryant, but they're in an outdoor environment. Nobody was exposed to Bryant for an extended period. They don't believe that it's anything to be overly concerned about, but the league is monitoring that right now, Laura.
Yeah, Adam, certainly a wild situation there. Pulled off the field pregame. More Adam Schefter coming your way. Let's get back to Tuesday Night Football with the finish of Week 13. Dan Orlovsky, we saw Lamar Jackson back in action for the Ravens against the Cowboys. Late first quarter, Cowboys lead here, and Jackson faking the handoff.
Yeah, just quarterback counter. Those linebackers, Leighton Vander Esch, getting lost, and Lamar goes to pay dirt.
Let's go to the second quarter. Cowboys lead 10-7. Ravens possession, though, from the 38-yard line. How about Lamar Jackson to Miles Boykin here?
Yeah, commit to running the football and then commit to using play-action pass. It's awesome. You get those second-level defenders to jump up. The ball comes out of Lamar's hands on time. And then Boykin, fully extended, finds a way to get into the end zone.
That's when the Ravens would take the lead. They didn't look back. Let's go to the third quarter. Ravens leading by 7, and Jackson rolling out here. He's going to find Hollywood Brown, and this was a Hollywood throw and catch.
No doubt. This is something he's done this year, is create in the red zone. It's awesome. You're running full speed to your left. I love the reaction by Hollywood Brown. The and then an absolutely perfect throw by Lamar Jackson. The right foot drag by Hollywood Brown. Awesome by both Lamar and Hollywood.
You know it's a good throw and catch when Keyshawn Johnson's making sound effects, Dan Orlovsky's making sound effects. 34-17 is the final. And it was a dominant ground attack for Baltimore, too. Well, it also allowed Lamar Jackson to go to work with 2 passing touchdowns off of play action. We just showed you a couple of those. As you can see, there's been quite a contrast between Lamar passing off play action and passing without it this season. He's completed 71% of his throws using play action, but that drops to just 59% without it. And listen, Key, I realize that it was the Cowboys, and that's just something that we have to say before we get into this, but it did look like the Ravens found a recipe for success offensively last night.
Well, look, I would say it's the same success that they had last year. Run the football and allow Lamar to make a few big throws down the field, and that's what he did. He dazzled us last year with the same sort of sauce, right? Dan, you know, one of the things that they like to do is they like to run the football, and that helps his play action. You mentioned 71%. That is true. But when you look at it overall, last year he was 66%. This year, slightly down 1%, 65%. You can win this way. Sure. You can certainly win a Super Bowl this way if your defense is playing solid and sound, because what they do is portable. When you think about the teams that they got to play in the playoffs, cold weather, Cleveland's, Pittsburgh's, Kansas City, they can move on with that stuff.
I agree with that, Key, and no team looks as good as the Ravens when they can stay on schedule and continue to proceed with their game plan that they had going into the game. My concern is when you have to have a differing style. Like, we've talked about this before, but when you look at what Lamar Jackson's talent is, we know the Ravens for being able to run. They almost put 300 on Dallas last night. They put 260 plus on the Steelers, so they can run the ball against anybody. It's the pressure from the opposing offense. When they get behind, do they have that little extra in their passing game in order to try to come back from a lead when you need the clock as well as scores to be on your side? That's my issue. Look, this team is well coached. They are going to play well in all phases of the game. Harbaugh is going to have this team doing what they do best down the road. My only concern, which has been voiced before by others, what do the Ravens do when they have to drop back and throw the football and they just can't continue to churn out drives and sustain drives on the ground? That's my only issue. And if they can get ahead on people, probably the most devastating team in the league outside of Cleveland with the way they run the football and the Titans with Derrick Henry. The only issue is when they have to go the other way, Key. That's my number one question. Can they do it from behind?
What I would say, Dan, is don't get behind it. You won't have to worry about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that helps, right? But these are some games that are going to matter a lot against really good competition. Dan, what did the Ravens teach you about the Cowboys?
Everybody's on the clock down in Dallas.
Yeah.
Everybody, and that includes the head coach. I don't know how Jerry Jones can sit there right now and watch the Cowboys with Mike McCarthy and feel good about them when he's watching what's happening in Washington with Ron Rivera or in New York with Joe Judge. Like, listen, I get you're decimated by injuries. So are they. They're beat up, too. They're playing with their backup quarterback as well. By the way, the team that you played last night, they've been riddled by injuries as well. And you look like a JV football team playing against the Ravens last night. And so there's no way that as this continues to spiral out, they got a month left of the season. And Mike McCarthy should be coaching for his job. I got some numbers to kind of frame into exactly what the Cowboys are right now. I want to get them right. They're 31st in point margin. That's only ahead of the New York Jets. They're 31st in efficiency. They're only ahead of the New York Jets. They're 31st in turnover margin. They're only ahead of the Denver Broncos. How is Mike McCarthy still feeling good about his job, and how does Jerry Jones still feel good about his job? Also, if they trend towards the number 2 pick in the draft, that's when it gets really interesting, because then do we re-sign Dak Prescott? Does Dak Prescott want to re-sign there? Who are we going to go get to go maybe mentor and develop the young quarterback that could be selected as 2? So, listen, everybody in Dallas is on the clock right now.
Dan, those are damning numbers. But we got something else today that was just as embarrassing and humiliating to the Dallas Cowboys in this shameful season. And that is the fact that the Dallas Cowboys, who networks usually fight over to get on as many times as they possibly can, were flexed out of the Sunday night spot against the San Francisco 49ers in favor of the Cleveland Browns. Tell me the last time the Cleveland Browns have taken the Sunday night slot of the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, which loves to be on Showtime, prime time, whatever it may be. The Dallas Cowboys were flexed out of prime time today in favor of the Cleveland Browns and New York Giants. That right there typifies the season and tells you how low that team has fallen this season.
Can I interject something?
Yes, you can.
Drop this little mini bomb on NFL Live Wednesday. Dak Prescott should want out of Dallas. All right, and
Yeah.
I've been holding out and saying that. I've been thinking about, well, they did offer him a contract and all of that. Dak Prescott should want to find a new spot to play football. Not only the disrespectful nature of what's been transpiring, but you look at this. What about this franchise tell y'all they gonna go in the right direction in the next 2 years? Like, how long does Dak Prescott want to be subjected to being in a position? First of all, you got a quarterback that we all see now worldwide that was the only living pulse that you had as a football team before he got injured. And the biggest indictment is you don't have a choice now but to look like you look. So that should want to go somewhere else.
Hey, Marcus, we got to go real quick here, but I have a feeling we've just scratched the surface on this topic.
Right.
Off the top of your head, where would he go? Where would Dak want to go?
It's a team on the West Coast with a coach named Kyle Shanahan and a GM named John Lynch.
Well, 49ers
that would love
action.
to have Dak Prescott running that offense. The San Francisco 49ers. Yeah.
All right, so we'll see what happens. If that ends up being true, we'll bring this bomb back December 9th of 2020. We'll see what ends up happening.
Marcus. Good job.
Yeah, Adam.
It is what it is.
Adam, you got anything to add there? I got to let you go real fast if you do.
I'll say this. That's the very first time that I've heard Dak Prescott connected to the 49ers, but I like it.
All right, Adam Schefter likes it, so that's great. Hey, we're just getting started on NFL Live today. As you can see, we got a lot to get to. A potential AFC playoff matchup this weekend when the Steelers and Bills face off.